Hello everyone. I'm going to be showing you how to create a realistic ocean, and this will be done using the ocean modifier. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually delete the cube, and I'm going to delete the light, and we're going to be doing this with this new sky model added in. That's the new sky texture, and this is extremely useful for creating procedural skies, and it's much better than the older version, and it's all fully updated, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to use that. So what we're going to do for now is add a plane, and I'm going to scale this up to about 4 units. So I'm going to press S on the keyboard, then 4, and now I'm going to add in the ocean modifier. So I'm going to click on this wrench icon and go down to ocean, and I just have to find it, and it's this one. Okay, so now you see it expands, and that's okay. Now for the resolution, this is going to adjust the quality, and for now I'm going to just put it to 30, and depending on your computer strength, you may have to turn this down or turn this up. Later on for the render, I'm going to turn this up. It's going to make over 1 million faces easily, but my computer can handle this, so that's okay. But if yours can't, you may have to change the setting. Okay, and now if we go to the timeline, you notice if we scroll through, nothing changes. So I have to keyframe the time value here, and for the first frame, you want to make sure your timeline's on the first frame. Press I, and that will insert a keyframe. And then for the last keyframe at 250, you will want to set this to 10. And then press I. So now as you scroll through the timeline, and actually it's performing a little slow, so I'm going to turn that down temporarily. You could see it plays through. Although this is for if you want to make an animation. In this tutorial, I'm just going to be showing you how to make an image, but yeah, so you can use this both ways. You can create images with it or create animations. So I'm just going to leave it on frame 1 for now, and I'm going to change some of these settings to get the waves to look more choppy. So the size can be adjusted, and that will just adjust the size. So I'm going to actually turn this down to something like 0.9, and this is generally trial and error, seeing what these settings do. So one of them I'm definitely going to change is this. I'm going to bring that all the way up to 1.8, and I'm going to leave that smallest wave setting the same. Choppiness, I'm going to bring it way up to 2.2. And you see now it looks more like a choppy ocean, like the waves are really rough. And yeah, so you can go really crazy with this and bring that way up, but if you go too crazy, you'll notice you'll get some mesh. The mesh will intersect, and you don't want that, as that will create artifacts. So don't go too crazy with these settings. So I'm going to leave it on these settings for now. You can always change it. So this is good, and I'm going to bring up the resolution. So now it's time to we're going to get the foam. So we are going to actually bring down the coverage of the foam to something like negative 0.750. That's what I found looks good, at least. So that's what I'm going to set it to, and all these other settings should be good. So now it's time for the materials. So I'm going to open up a new window and set it to the shader, and I'm going to create a new one and just rename it to something like ocean material. It's always good to get in the habit of renaming the materials. It keeps everything organized. So I adjusted the materials, and most importantly, what I had to do was enter foam here, because we're using the data layer in the wave texture, and this modifier generates foam, but you have to type in an attribute here called foam, and to do that I just added an attribute node, just like that, and then I typed in foam, so that can reference where to mix in the foam. So then I just used a mix shader, and I mixed that with the principled BSDF, and I set the settings like this. So I added 0.98 for transmission, and I adjusted all these other settings and left them as default. Base color, just a light green, greenish blue. And this foam, again, what it's doing is it's actually creating a black and white mask. So if I click on this and go to the factor, you'll see what I mean if we go to the rendered view. And it's going to take a little while. So you see wherever it's white is where the foam will appear, and that's where it will mix in our emission shader, which will look like foam. So yeah, so let me show you how I added in the world. So let's go to the world, and I added in the new sky texture, and I adjusted the ozone to be higher, the level, to make the sky look more blue. And you could see I have the resolution turned up on the ocean modifier too. So I'm going to bring that down, and I'm going to go back to the material and just adjust it like that. And now we see that we have the sky texture. So I changed these settings and I kept these at 1, and the ozone, you could see if you adjust it, it can give a very different look. So I went to like 6, and then what I had to do is go to camera view, and you could tilt the view to make everything look aligned, because otherwise the sun might be cut off at the bottom. So I just I changed the perspective a little bit of the camera. And I'm thinking this might be a little bit too blue, so I'm going to bring down the ozone a little bit more, and I think I'm happy with something like that. So yeah, that concludes this tutorial. Oh, and let's bring that resolution back up. So it's going to take a little time, and it depends on your computer hardware, how much you want to push this setting. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Lots of fine details. So yeah, that concludes this tutorial. Again, these files are going to be available on my Patreon along with the compositing setup, which is the image I used on the YouTube page. So yeah, I hope this tutorial helped you. I will be participating in November next month, and I'm very excited about that. I think I probably could do about half of them, so that should go nicely, and you guys will be able to open up all my project files, and they will be on my Patreon. Yeah, the link for that will be in the description. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, and see you in the next video.